Well, at least it's over. 11 games for Deshaun Watson and $5 million in fines. That is what they worked out in a settlement with the NFL. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report, a live edition. Matthew Peterson here, breaking down the entirety of the Deshaun Watson news and what is next for the Browns. Could it be a Jimmy Garoppolo trade? Or are the Browns confident in Jacoby Brissett to steer the ship for 11 games and 12 weeks and keep this uber-talented roster in playoff contention? A lot to get through on today's live show. Of course, Deshaun Watson news all across the web right now. Came from the most unlikely places, too. We'll look at that later. And we're going to look at the Browns schedule and look over all the games that Watson will miss and the games that Watson will play in when he returns. But while we let the audience sort of build up and let everyone click on the notification and join the stream, what's your one-word reaction to the Deshaun Watson suspension? We'll give some shout-outs here. For me, I don't want to say predictable because nothing about this was predictable. We went all over the place. Literally, the range was 2 games to an indefinite suspension. Big blue check marks tweeted that out. That's how far of a net we casted over the last couple of months. For me, I'll say one-word reaction is just, how about this one? Trade. Because you're going to find out, a little teaser, I'm all for trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not that I don't believe Jacoby Brissett is it can do a good job. I think Brissett's a very good backup QB. But 11 games? Who would you rather have? A quarterback that was one overthrow away from winning a Super Bowl, or a backup quarterback who sure is a good proven backup QB, but let's not fall head over heels in love with a guy who, at the end of the day, is a backup. All right, let's give some shout-outs here. Let me know what your one-word reaction is. Josh coming in with done. I like done. Adam says finally. Josh Durr saying too late in camp. Is it, though? It could have been worse. I was listening to some podcast yesterday. They talked about a news dump of Labor Day weekend. That would have been worse. At least Kevin Stefanski, and he's already been preparing for the last week of Jacoby Brissett being the week 1 starting quarterback. Beyond week 1, you really can't install a whole lot. I really doubt this Browns training camp has been starting to install plays of, hey, what's going to work well against the Jets and against the Steelers and against the Falcons in weeks 2 through 4. No, they have been focused on the Panthers. Sidebar, Baker Mayfield expected to be named the starting quarterback really any day now, so get your popcorn ready. Soul Train saying relieved. Levi says booty. Jose says Jimmy. Jimmy's a good one. I wonder who you could be talking about right there. All right, quick shout out right now for my guy HNT sending in a super chat, $2. Thank you very much. What if the Browns get Jimmy and he's winning? So I think what you're asking is, what if the Browns go out and get Jimmy Garoppolo and Jimmy G has this team after 11 weeks? I don't know, maybe 7-4? I still think you're handing it over to Deshaun Watson. The only way I really see Jimmy Garoppolo or even Jacoby Brissett holding on to the job after 11 weeks is if the Browns are 11, or after 11 games, is if the Browns are 11-0, right? They went out and got a $230 million quarterback. They want to use their shiny new car. So now we do have some pretty big stuff to get to here in just a second. We've got official statements from, first we're going to look at the Browns. Let me pull that up. And then we're going to look and see what Deshaun Watson said. So let me read off what this long statement is from the Browns here. A statement first from Jimmy and D. Haslam. As we have previously conveyed, Deshaun and his representatives have abided by the NFL and the NFLPA structure awaiting a final decision, and we have respected the process. Now that a decision on discipline has been reached, we understand this is a real opportunity to create meaningful change, and we are committed to investing in programs in Northeast Ohio that will educate our youth regarding awareness, understanding, and most importantly, prevention of sexual misconduct and the many underlying causes of such behavior. Since Deshaun entered our building, he has been an outstanding member of our organization and shown a true dedication to working on himself, both on and off the field. We will continue to support him as he focuses on earning the trust of our community. Now, we'll read Deshaun Watson's statement in just a second, but first, we are noticing a bit of a change in tone from Watson and the Browns. Like when Watson spoke to the media right before the Jags game, it was the first time he offered an apology, and which sort of led to maybe an admission of not guilt, but of an understanding of, hey, what I did may have not been the correct thing to do, which was different from what Watson said before of, I am innocent, so what am I apologizing for, right? There has been a bit of a difference in tone. Jimmy and D. Haslam's statements are always, I don't know. I mean, a little bit of tone deaf, maybe a little bit here. I don't think it's completely tone deaf, but it is a little bit of, this is different than how you spoke in March. What's changed, guys? Because, So here's what Deshaun Watson's statement is. I'm grateful that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain this situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions I made. My focus going forward is working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team. I'm excited about what the future holds for me in Cleveland. So Deshaun Watson, I'm guessing this settlement imposes him leaving the team now. Now, I don't have exact details. I'm looking at TweetDeck right now of when he could return to the team. Remember in Judge Robinson's decision, it was after week 3. This might not be the case, meaning he might not be able to return midway through the season. Curious to see. It's a settlement, which means it's off the book, right? It's not following the letter of the law. They reach some kind of agreement on how they want to go about this. But let's put the schedule up, Marshall, because I think that's what everyone wants to know. What games are Watson missing, and what games will he be back for? So everything on screen right now is going to be the Jacoby Brissett show or maybe the Jimmy Garoppolo show. Panthers week 1, I am confident with either Brissett or Garoppolo, or hell, maybe even the way Dobbs looked in Jacksonville. Not really, though. That they will be able, with how talented this roster is, to rattle off some wins. I don't want to go win-loss for the whole schedule because so much can change. But very winnable games with the Panthers, the Jets, the Steelers, the Falcons, the Patriots. You have a tough stretch with Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Miami. Now, remember, Jacoby Brissett was with the Dolphins last year. Was it Tua, though, that beat the beat the Ravens on Monday Night Football? Regardless, it's the NFL. It's any given Sunday. Don't look at Halloween on week 8 and go, there's no way the Browns can win now without Deshaun Watson. No. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was the QB for a Colts team that went to Kansas City on Sunday Night Football after having a bad start to the season and knocked off the undefeated Chiefs. It's the NFL. But this is the important part of the schedule. Now, it's an 11-game suspension. Add 1, meaning it's 12 weeks because you don't get suspended for the bye. So what does that mean? It's a Week 13 return at Houston. And here we go. Get your popcorn ready. Something that the Texans were apparently very vocal about wanting to avoid, which was a rematch in year 1 with Deshaun Watson. So Watson will go to Houston, probably looking at the rest of the slate of games. If you had to pick one game to make a return for, not even just for the revenge aspect, but also just the weakest team on the schedule in the back half of the season, it's no doubt the Texans. So I like that as sort of an ease-in game, but it doesn't get much easier after that. Bengals, Ravens. The Saints are just a good put-together ball club. That's not going to be an easy out, even at home. It's also Thanksgiving week, by the way, at Texans. So Sunday after Thanksgiving. So we all have that to look forward to after expanding our waistlines. Week 17 at Washington and Week 18 at the Steelers. Another super chat here before we dive into really breaking down the nuts and bolts of comparing Jacoby Brissett versus Jimmy Garoppolo and what the Deshaun Watson suspension means. The Brown Tiger, suck it, Texans. You better, if Deshaun Watson comes out and does not put up 1,000 touchdowns against the Texans. Houston fans are never going to let him hear it down. So there is definitely a ton of motivation for Watson to come out and just light the world on fire. Before we jump into anything concrete here, pick a quarterback, because this is probably the next question in Cleveland. For 11 games, are you confident in Jacoby Brissett, or do you want to roll with Jimmy Garoppolo? In fact, 49ers Report host Chase Sr. talked about this the other day, and Mary Kay wrote about it. I think we can get some quotes there from what Mary Kay said the other day. Marsh, if you want to sync up with Chase, he's got some quotes on what Mary Kay said about the Browns' level of confidence in Jacoby Brissett and how many weeks they are confident with rolling with number 7. So we're going to get some of those quotes from Mary Kay's article up on screen a little bit here. Oh, Watson speaking to the media right now. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff going here, a lot to break down here. We also have 230 people live and only 23 likes. Come on, guys. Pump those numbers up. If you have not liked the video, make sure you go ahead and do so. It just tells YouTube, hey, there are other Browns fans on YouTube right now. They should come join us over here. Just kind of puts out a bat signal. So we have some quotes to get to and whatnot. What's the plan here? Okay, we got new quotes from Deshaun Watson. Here's what he said just moments ago. I've always been able to stand on my innocence and always said I never assaulted or disrespected anyone. But at the same point, I have to continue to push forward with my life and career. And I think there is some truth to this. And just kind of in general in life of just because you settle does not mean it's an admission of guilt. And I'm not saying this is only for Deshaun Watson. It is just sort of sometimes that's the best avenue you can go down. It was clear that the NFL wanted a year-long suspension. What's interesting is if they wanted a year-long suspension, why didn't they do it? They had the ball in their court. They had every card in the deck in their hand. They had Peter C. Harvey in their corner, their minion, who Roger Goodell could just text him a number and say, that's what we want. There is some deep underlying reason for why the NFL wanted to settle. I've got, Brian Windhorst time, 2 ideas. One is that the NFL did not want this to go to court. And the NFLPA was threatening that. Why the NFL didn't want it to go to court is a documentary for ESPN to do later on. That's theory number 1. Theory number 2, and maybe it's just me reaching on this one, but maybe all along, the NFL never wanted Deshaun Watson to miss 2 straight seasons of football. One of the best quarterbacks in the game, probably not good for business for him to be missing 2 straight years of football. It's not good for ratings, it's not good for merchandise, and it's not good for owners' wallets, which is ultimately what it comes down to. So they might want to give the impression of, we want a year-long suspension, but when the cameras are off and the mics aren't around, maybe it's, well, we actually don't want Deshaun Watson to miss 2 straight years. Like, come on. Let's count some of it as time served and tack on 11 games. Fine him $5 million. They donate that to charity because I always thought it was a little bit too low for him to get off with even just a $345,000 fine. But no, I'm not. I really hate the dumb argument of, so that's why the Browns scheduled their structured that contract that way. No, they've done it for everyone. This is how Andrew Berry conducts business here. So I don't buy into that is why the Browns backloaded the contract, which is just in case of a suspension. Deshaun can save some dimes. All right. Are you subscribed to the channel? If so, type me down in the comment section so you can get a shout out here on the show, because that's the beauty of the Browns Report by Chat Sports. When breaking news like this happens, we're scrambling the jets on the aircraft and we are getting you guys ready to go. And you guys are a part of the show just as much as I am. Just like how John's getting to me. HNT, Zach is subscribed. The Brown Tiger, Josh Miller, he's a fan of the PD's Polo Club. I picked a neutral color today. I woke up this morning feeling not dangerous, but prepared, thinking today's probably going to be the day, so let's not go overly, let's not dive into the Crayola box here and get too colorful. Gray seems appropriate. All right, F-Pit, that's always a good thing to say. John Lowe, Matty Ice in the house. Appreciate you, John. Adam is subscribed. You can always spam F-Pit. There's never a bad time on a show here at the Browns Report to comment F-Pit. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to be bad this year. I really do believe that to my core. Dion says Dion, I'm going to need the most, and I mean the most creative trade idea you've got for Jimmy Garoppolo. Do two trades. One is Garoppolo for a 6th or a 7th, because I really don't think he's going to go for all that much. And I'll explain why in a little bit here. And then have fun with it. Do not trade Kareem Hunt. You're not trading Kareem Hunt. This is an anti-trade Kareem Hunt show. We keep him in Cleveland. Okay? Kevin Burns is subscribed. Dominic is subscribed. We got a super chat coming in from Jeremy Chugs here. Steelers. Okay, so this is our resident Steelers fan here. Everyone say F Jeremy in the chat right now. So Jeremy runs our Steelers channel here at Chat Sports. And I kid you not, he goes on there and spreads propaganda about me and what I say at work. And he rallies up everyone behind the steel curtain to just spam FPD in the comments section like I am Mussolini to them. It is absurd what he does over on the Steelers channel. I'm going to start showing some hate to him. So if you hate the Steelers, type F-Pit, F Jeremy. Anything works here. Yeah, Prince propaganda is right, Shaylin. Jimmy G for Anthony Schwartz straight up. So I came into work this morning ready to start preparing for our live show every Thursday at 4 Eastern. And I was going to not defend Anthony Schwartz, but say don't let preseason be the last straw that broke the camel's back for a guy like Schwartz. But we're going to talk about some probably bigger news today here. Young Sky with a quick super chat. So no Will Fuller then. I wouldn't rule that out. So let's rewind to like March, April, May, right when the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson. It's all we could talk about, which is, hey, how many games? When's he going to return? When's he going to play? And I was a big advocate for, hey, if Jacoby Brissett has to be the quarterback for this team for an extended period of time, and now we know it is 11 weeks, you should provide some ammunition for that quarterback. You don't have to do that for Deshaun Watson because the idea of paying a quarterback $230 million is, well, we can save some money on wide receivers. Not that we have to bring practice squad guys on, but he's going to elevate DPJs, David Bells, Anthony Schwartz, right? Well, if you want to stay competitive, why don't you give Jacoby Brissett some more proven talent and not more optimistic banking on-esque talent? So I'm open to whether it's T.Y. Hilton, right, Jacoby's guy from Indy, or Will Fuller, who's probably the best free agent receiver out there right now. He's the youngest. He's the most proven. But he's also got a bad track record of never staying healthy. So, for what it's worth then. Yeah. Behind-the-scenes stuff here. Yeah, let's hit all that. Yeah, let's get all those quotes in there. Go on. One more super. It's pretty fun for you guys tuning in right now because you get to see sort of behind the scenes of producer Marshall and I working side by side to get this done, ASAP Rocky. Jeremy, Steelers winning the North. I think the Steelers end up last in the AFC North. I really do believe that at my core. Steelers are going to end up last. Now that we know how many games exactly it is, because guess what? This is the end of the road. There is no more appeals. This is it. It's 11 games. I think. I mean, it is, but this is it. Oh, so Haslam's talking to the media right now. This is going to be something. At least he's spending money, right? That's something different. I appreciate that. All I want my owner to do is spend his money. Spend your money on my team, right? Well, your team, but my team too. Okay, some quick quotes here as we get a couple more people in. I'm grateful from Deshaun Watson saying that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain this situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions I made. My focus going forward is working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team. I'm excited about what the future holds for me in Cleveland. I've always been able to stand on my innocence and always said I never assaulted or disrespected anyone, but at the same time, At the same point, I have to continue to push forward with my life and career. So that's the Deshaun Watson statement. A handful of key members from the Browns organization speaking to the media right now. So here's D and Jimmy Haslam's statement, for example. As we have previously conveyed, Deshaun and his representatives have abided by the NFL and NFLPA structure, awaiting a final decision, and we have respected the process. Now that a decision on discipline has been reached, we understand this is a real opportunity to create meaningful change, and we are committed to investing in programs in Northeast Ohio that will educate our youth regarding awareness, understanding, and most importantly, prevention of sexual misconduct and the many underlying causes of such behavior. Since Deshaun entered our building, he has been an outstanding member of our organization and shown a true dedication to working on himself both on and off the field. We will continue to support him as he focuses on earning the trust of our community. That's like a big word salad. You have to trade for a quarterback with 20-plus sexual misconduct lawsuits against you to want to invest in these types of programs in your local area. Seems a bit just tone deaf of like, once you get Deshaun Watson, oh, now we're interested in helping out on these causes. Like, come on, Jimmy, dude. All right, Roger Goodell. We got quotes from Raj. Here's what he said. Deshaun is committed to doing the hard work on himself that is necessary for his return to the NFL. This settlement requires compliance with a professional evaluation and treatment plan, a significant fine, and a more substantial suspension. We are grateful, no you're not, to Judge Robinson and Peter Harvey for their efforts in addressing these matters, which I laid the foundation for reaching this conclusion. Roger, you're not grateful to Judge Robinson. You're not, right? She gave a 6-game suspension because she called you out. She called the NFL out for saying, hey, just because you don't like the way players are abiding by your rules doesn't mean you can change them. Deshaun Watson, as bizarre maybe as it could sound, didn't necessarily break a ton of the personal conduct policy rules. He just dodged around him in some ways, okay? The NFL said he's not guilty of any sort of sexual assault. He's guilty of violating the integrity of the league. And Sue Robinson said, all right, this is not okay for the NFL just to change the rules as they go along. So I'm going to make a bit of a statement here and give Deshaun Watson 6 games because he absolutely broke rules in the personal conduct policy. But we're not going to start setting new precedents of a year-long suspension because that's how the NFL feels right now. It just doesn't work like that. So shout out to Judge Robinson. I wonder what she's doing. You think she cares about this, Marsh, at all? If I'm Judge Robinson, I don't even know where. I think she lives in Delaware. That's like a big judge state, I feel like. They all live in Delaware. Everything's done in Delaware. All right, Big J, Adam Schefter, who didn't break the news, by the way. Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension will begin August 30th. All right, we got some new updates here. On the NFL's roster cutdown day, he may return to the team's training facility and participate in limited activities on October 10th. On November 14th, he can resume practicing, and Watson can play again December 4th against the Houston Texans. Okay, so now we've got some updates on when Watson can actually return to the facility right here. So he'll be adios from August 30th, essentially till October 10th. So the entire month of September and some change in October. And then November 14th is when he can start participating in team practices. I'm guessing that October 10th to November 14th, he can see trainers, he can work out in the gym, he can be a part of maybe some meetings and whatnot. I'm not in Berea. I'm not actually in the studio, in the rooms with the QBs when they meet with the quarterback coach and Stefanski. But we have a bit more of a layout of a structure of when Deshaun Watson can start returning to practice and all that stuff here. Super chat from my guy, Adam. Adam is an MVP of the comment section. Always appreciate seeing you during our live shows, Adam. Thank you so much for supporting the show. If you want a super chat, goes towards expanding studios, which means I get more studio time, so you guys get more content. So if you love the work we do here at the Browns Report, producer Marshall Green and myself grinding away to give you guys the best daily content we can, all super chats are always greatly appreciated. Like Josh right now, Jimmy G for Taki Taki, we play with 2 linebackers mostly. It's not a bad idea of tossing players. Here's the thing. I don't think you have to do that. Maybe I'm a little bit off base here, but the Niners are not going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo on their roster. He's due to make $24 million. And no, the Browns would not pay him $24 million if they traded for him. That contract would be restructured. I promise you, I will bring back the Lake Erie Polar Plunge if Jimmy Garoppolo makes $24 million for the Browns this year. So if you just got to wait out the Niners. Now, the other side of the coin is, if you want Jimmy G, get him right now so he can start practicing with the team, right? So he can begin to develop a rhythm and a chemistry and a connection with his new receivers and offense and learn the playbook, which seems to be well fitted for him because, if you don't have to be an encyclopedia on the Cleveland Browns to go, they like to run the football. The Niners, they like to run the football. Jimmy Garoppolo should probably slide in quite nicely here. All right, one more super chat, and then we're going to jump into sort of the cut from here. Shaylin Spinda saying, Browns are better than the Steelers. Block Jeremy. I love it. I love it. Everyone agree with Shay in the comment section. F Jeremy, F the Steelers, F Pitt. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go. So F Jeremy, producer of our Steelers channel here at Chat Sports. An absolute clown I have to sit next to. He does bring good snacks to the office. I'll give him that. All right. I think we're ready to jump into everything here. So we're going to break all this down. What the 11 games means, when he'll return, and then the second half of the story. Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know, Jim. Yeah. Yeah. Talk. Yeah, let's do that. You guys this is like that Disney ride where you get to see how the movies are made behind the scenes. Backlot something. Someone who's been to Disney can tell me. Okay, here we go. Let's jump into it. Finally, we have a resolution on the Deshaun Watson front. An 11-game suspension has been agreed in a settlement between Watson's camp and the NFL, along with a $5 million fine. Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here on the Browns Report, breaking all of this down. We've got quotes from Deshaun Watson, the Haslams, and then we've got the second half of this story. Could the Browns be interested in trading for Jimmy Garoppolo now that we know the exact number of games? 11. We'll find out how many games Andrew Berry is comfortable with playing Jacoby Brissett. 6 seemed manageable. Is 11 too big of a number for him to trust Brissett? And could he look to trade for someone like Jimmy Garoppolo? So some quick pointers I want to get out of the way here early. Adam Schefter with some important details you might be wondering on. Hey, when does Watson get to return to Berea and start practicing with the team? So he will start this 11-game suspension on August 30th. That's the NFL roster cutdown day, down to 53 players. He may return to the team's training facility and participate in limited activities on October 10th, and on November 14th, he can resume practicing, and Watson can play again on December 4th against the Houston Texans. It's an 11-game suspension. It's essentially a 12-week suspension because you don't get suspended for the bye. So here is the entire Browns schedule. First 10 games will be either the Jacoby Brissett, Jimmy Garoppolo, or insert QB here show. And I'm comfortable, even if it is Brissett, for this stretch of games here. 10 weeks, 9 games, I think he can go 5-4 in the stretch. Most backup quarterbacks should go 500. The good ones should. Brissett, he's better than your average backup QB. There's some tough games with the Ravens and the Bengals and the Chargers, and the Dolphins are even frisky this year. So I think 5-4 is somewhere in the ballpark, but we can say that for a conversation for another day. This is the interesting part of the schedule. Deshaun Watson will return week 13 at Houston against his former team. Something that the Texans were somewhat private but also public about, that they don't want to play Watson this year. I don't know what they expected when they traded him within the conference. They were going to run into him more often than not, but it will be a revenge game for Deshaun Watson in his first game back against the Texans. And then he goes through some tough stretches of games. The Bengals, the Ravens, The Saints are never an easy out. Washington's pretty bad, but I don't know. It's Washington. They can always be weird at the end of the season. And then you wrap up the season. I was about to say at Heinz Field, but it's Acrisure, and one of the worst names in football now for a football stadium. But that is the schedule. So Deshaun Watson plays the last 6 games of the schedule. Just looking at this list right here, I don't want to say what he could go in that stretch because so much can change. You have no idea who the 22 starters will be when Watson takes the field in Week 13, but it's a pretty manageable schedule, right? You're not playing defending Super Bowl champs in that stretch right there. Now, before we get further into the show, I want you guys to get involved early on by giving me your one-word reaction to the Deshaun Watson suspension. Relief, finally, all are acceptable, mad, whatever it is, just sound off in the comment section below. And hey, while you're putting your one word down there, make sure you click on that subscribe button, because if you are a ride or die Browns fan, meaning you are not tapping out this season, this is not a lost season by any means. This is one of the best Browns rosters ever, if not the best Browns roster ever. They can definitely tread water and stay afloat for the first 11 games. So subscribe if you bleed brown and orange. Let's look at Deshaun Watson's statement just a few moments ago. I'm grateful that the disciplinary process has ended and extremely appreciative of the tremendous support I have received throughout my short time with the Browns organization. I apologize once again for any pain this situation has caused. I take accountability for the decisions I made. My focus going forward is working to become the best version of myself on and off the field and supporting my teammates however possible while I'm away from the team. I'm excited about what the future holds for me in Cleveland. I've always been able to stand on my innocence and always said I never assaulted or disrespected anyone, but at the same point, I have to continue to push forward with my life and my career. I wonder if he came up with that statement just now. No, that's definitely been workshopped for a while. Listen, we have seen Deshaun Watson, I wouldn't say change his stance or the way he went about speaking about this, but he's pivoted a little bit because he definitely put on a innocent, maintaining that front at the beginning when he started speaking to the media, like during his introductory press conference. Last week, before the Jags game, he apologized, something he hasn't done before. Not that apology is necessarily an admission of guilt, but there's definitely some sort of correlation between the two. Now, D and Jimmy Haslam also just released a statement. Here's what they said. As we have previously conveyed, Deshaun and his representatives have abided by the NFL and NFLPA structure awaiting a final decision, and we have respected the process. Now that a decision on discipline has been reached, we understand this is a real opportunity to create meaningful change, and we are committed to investing in programs in Northeast Ohio that will educate our youth regarding awareness, understanding, and most importantly, prevention of sexual misconduct and the many underlying causes of such behavior. Since Deshaun entered our building, he has been an outstanding member of our organization and shown a true dedication to working on himself both on and off the field. We will continue to support him as he focuses on earning the trust of our community. Someone in Berea needs to turn off the mic when Jimmy and D. Haslam get to the podium. It just sounds very tone deaf when you go up and say, we are now committed to supporting organizations and places in Northeast Ohio that help combat sexual misconduct after you trade for a quarterback with 20-plus civil lawsuits against him for exactly that. Don't you see how the public and others who are very much against this move from the get-go can go, are you kidding me? Now you're against it after you traded for the quarterback? Just turn off the mic for them. Continue to spend the money in free agency. I'm all for that. But when it comes to making speeches and when it comes to making statements, no. Get some scissors and clip the wire. Roger Goodell, here's what he said about the settlement, saying, Deshaun is committed to doing the hard work on himself that is necessary for his return to the NFL. This settlement requires compliance with a professional evaluation and treatment plan, a significant fine, and a more substantial suspension. We are grateful to Judge Robinson, no you're not, and Peter C. Harvey, also not, for their efforts in addressing these matters, which laid the foundation for reaching this conclusion. Roger, you're not grateful to Judge Robinson. You're pissed that she gave 6 games and called you out for your BS here of trying to bend the rules and create new precedents as the game moves along. And she said Deshaun Watson definitely violated the personal conduct policy, but the NFL can't just make up new rules as they go along and invent new punishments for players who have not been found guilty of anything. She called you out on it. You were pissed, so you're like, all right, we're appealing to my buddy, and we're going to make him the designee, and we'll work out a settlement. And I've got some theories on how this settlement got worked out. But first, the second half of the story here. Spam F. Goodell, too, if you haven't already. Jacoby Brissett. He's now in line to start for his 4th NFL team with a career record of 14-23. His one big season was in 2019 when he was the starter for the Indianapolis Colts, playing 15 games, only missed 1 to injury. He went 7-8 in that stretch, and he was good for the Colts. He went 7-8. If you know any Colts fans, ask them about 2019. They will tell you, oh, that was the year Adam Vinatieri cost us a handful of games. So could have been a much better record. Nearly 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Here's my spiel on Brissett. He's going to be smart with the football. He's not going to force it. He'll hold on to it, and he'll take some sacks, and it'll be frustrating because he won't push it down the field necessarily, but he'll also not turn the ball over and make you start pulling your hair out. Now, last year for the Dolphins, he had 5 starts when Tua was hurt, throwing for over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. He was cautious with the football, okay? He was a very good backup. He didn't come in there and cost you games. That's not the type of quarterback Jacoby Brissett is. Now, when you got to start him for 11 games, he may not have it in him to lead multiple game-winning drives. That's just not who you're getting in Brissett. And that's fine. That's why he's a backup quarterback, and that's why he's stuck around the league for so long, is that he can be tossed in there and he can keep your team afloat. But he's not going to provide this new motor or engine to speed the offense along and start pulling off miraculous comeback wins or great fourth-quarter drives or game-tying field goals. Not really the quarterback you have in Jacoby Brissett, which begs the question, not that Jimmy Garoppolo necessarily is, but could the Browns now be very serious about trading for Jimmy G? When Andrew Berry set off on this odyssey to get Deshaun Watson, I just love how he called it an odyssey, to get Deshaun Watson, he definitely went through a lot of backup options of, hey, if we don't get Deshaun Watson, we lost Baker now, who's the next option? Jimmy Garoppolo had to have been high up on the list. And then there was the flow chart of, we get Deshaun Watson, he's suspended for a majority of the season. Do we want to roll with Jacoby Brissett? At the time, maybe Case Keenum, or do we want to look to maybe upgrade with a bigger splash like Jimmy Garoppolo? Now, when you compare Jimmy G to Jacoby Brissett in their last 17 starts, which for Jacoby Brissett spans over a little bit of time, but Jimmy Garoppolo, we're just looking at his entire 2021 season, I think it's a pretty slam dunk argument. Jimmy Garoppolo is a better QB. I know some of you guys will disagree with me here and say, no, I like Brissett. He's been with the team all offseason. I get that. But at the same time, Jimmy Garoppolo's a vet. He can pick up this offense, not just in a day or two, but come middle of the season when you've got games against the Ravens and against the Bengals and whatnot, I'd rather have Garoppolo out there, okay? In fact, let's just take them at their best, meaning what's their ceiling? Both guys had their best years back in 2019, and so back in 2019, Jimmy Garoppolo takes the Niners to the Super Bowl, 27 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Give me Garoppolo. Give me Jimmy G. For an 11-game stretch, I'd rather see Garoppolo play than Jacoby Brissett. If it was 6 games, different conversation, because I think Jimmy G wouldn't be able to catch up quick enough for a 6-week suspension. But 11 games, we're talking about football in November here. It's August right now. Jimmy G would be ready to go by November at that point. You see what I'm saying here? I would pick Jimmy Garoppolo, but if you guys disagree, that's fine. I'm not anti-Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett is a good quarterback. I also think he's a backup, and he's got his limitations. And we have seen Garoppolo, despite not always having the prettiest resume, the guy went to Dallas in the postseason this year and knocked off the Cowboys. He went to Green Bay and beat Aaron Rodgers, the 1 seed in the NFC. The guy's a winner. He gets it done somehow. I'll take a winner with how great this roster is. Now, this is not the first time, of course, that Jimmy Garoppolo has been brought up with the Browns. Mary Kay wrote about this just the other day. Here's what she said. At that point, the Browns will explore all their options. We're at that point now, as they always do in these situations. And Garoppolo is the only accomplished veteran on the market. Given permission to seek a trade by the 49ers, who are turning the team over to 2021 number 3 overall pick, Trey Lance, Garoppolo, 30 years old, can likely be acquired by the Browns for a mid to later round pick. So there is some pushback of, I don't want to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $24 million. Got good news for you guys. You're not going to. Yes, that is Jimmy Garoppolo's base salary for this year. The Browns are not going to pay that. The Niners are absolutely not going to pay Jimmy Garoppolo $24 million to be the backup. They gave Jimmy G, like Mary Kay pointed out, permission to seek his own trade. Why? Because they couldn't find anyone who would take on his contract. So they said, all right, just talk to his agent. You guys can restructure his contract. Tell us the details on the picks. We'll figure that side out. We'll let you guys figure out what he's going to get paid. Because no team is going to take him for $24 million. They'll just wait for the Niners to cut him and sign him, and he'll take $10-ish million. And sure, the Browns are quietly actually paying a handful of quarterbacks right now. You're paying Baker still. You're actually even paying Case Keenum, believe it or not. But Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to make $24 million for any team this season. He will be cut before that happens with San Francisco. He will be restructured in a trade, or a team will sign him for less on the open market. At the end of the day, give me Garoppolo. I think Jimmy G, over an 11-game stretch, gets you more wins than Jacoby Brissett. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I want more wins. And with Garoppolo, I believe you're going to get that. Yes, Brissett has been working with the team for the entire offseason. He's in a better spot to start week 1 as it stands right now. But when it's against tougher teams, like I said, when you've got to go up against the Bills, the Bengals, the Ravens, big AFC teams that you're going to be fighting with when it comes to the playoff hunt later in the year, I trust Jimmy G in those games more than Jacoby Brissett. But I'll let you guys decide. This is what we do here at Chat Sports. It is a democracy. You guys have just as much of a say as I do. Should the Browns trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down in the comment section below. All right, let's give some shout-outs here on what to do with Jimmy G, because that is the second half of the story, right? Watson's got 11 games. There's no appealing it. That's a closed case here. What about Jimmy G? Does he make sense at this point? I'm seeing some pushback. Scott's saying no. Mark says no. Mark, I always appreciate you interacting with me on Twitter. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at Matthew Petey. But Michael says yes. Michael's on my team. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, is a better quarterback than Jacoby Brissett, and you will see that over a long period of time of 11 weeks. In a shorter sample like 6, I was content with Brissett. 11, you might be biting off more than you can chew with him. Okay? Ronald, yes, most fourth quarter wins. Benjamin saying don't get Jimmy G. There is some more drama to this too. Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett have been in the same locker room before. They were teammates in New England. Remember when Brady got the Deflategate 4-game suspension? Well, Brissett had to play week 4 of that 4-game suspension because Jimmy G got hurt. And a lot of teammates, including Martellus Bennett or former teammates, Julian Edelman, kind of called out Jimmy G not too long ago saying, dude's being a pussy. And Brissett had to play with torn ligaments. He had no ligaments in his throwing hand because Jimmy G didn't want to go out there because he was worried about his next contract. Okay. John Lowe, we'll get some questions and whatnot on screen here. We're also going to get into a mailbag, right, Marsh? That's the plan here? Yeah, so let's get your questions in using hashtag Browns. If you got a question about all of this, we'll get that on screen for you guys. Or Super Chat. You Super Chat, you guarantee a spot on screen. But John saying, I'd rather save the money to sign J.C. Tretter. I think in a perfect world, I'd like to have Tretter back. We're not living in a perfect world. There is clearly more to this story than just the Browns think Ethan Posick is a serviceable center and better or just as good as Tretter at this point. No. Clearly, Tretter's role as the NFLPA president and maybe some baddish blood between him and the front office in Cleveland after being released is what's preventing him returning. Now, it is interesting. It's not just Cleveland. Like, the Bucs lost Ryan Jensen, their star center, and their backup center in like a week stretch at the start of camp. And they are content with not picking up the phone and bringing Tretter in for a workout. So there is absolutely something to why Tretter is still a free agent. It's definitely, in my opinion, a factor that he is the NFLPA president. And owners aren't happy with what he's been pushing. For example, I was on a podcast, the Barking Brown Show, and we talked about this, and they brought up a great point that Tretter was the one pushing for, hey, we are not doing OTAs anymore. No more voluntary off-season workouts. Coaches, they don't like that. Stefanski kind of made a backhanded jab at Tretter during the owners' conference in Boca Raton a couple of months ago when he went, this is my first off-season as a coach. And it's like, well, that might be because Tretter was blockading players working out. Remember that when it's like, we're not showing up. Absolutely not. Back in 2020 and 2021, I would thank Tretter for that one here. But use hashtag Browns or Super Chat to get on screen if you've got a question about anything related to Deshaun Watson, trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, rolling with Jacoby Brissett. Use hashtag Browns. We lost our background, Marsh. Okay, well. Here we go. There we go. Hashtag Browns or Super Chat. What do you think happened? I just pressed enter. Okay. Marshall Green on the ones and twos. It's not ones and twos. It's 1 through a bazillion. You have no idea how many buttons there are over there. And he always does a fantastic job of pushing the right ones. Super Chat guarantees you a spot on screen to ask any question about any of this, like I said. But you got to use hashtag Browns. If you do at Browns, like my guy, IMJ36, unfortunately, our software cannot pull it. It just makes life a lot more difficult for Marsh. So use hashtag Browns, just like Ronald371 did. And that way, you can get on screen. You can be a part of the mailbag show. Plus, it's only for subscribers. So if you are not subscribed, you got to click that sub button down below. That way, you can be a part of future Cleveland Browns Report content here on the show. So while we let some more questions get in here, Marshall, we are needing some more here, or need to buy you some more time? Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the Deshaun Watson side of this, because I'm looking in the comment section right now, and August 30th, does that mean he can play into preseason Sunday, Ronald? I am not an NFL lawyer, but yes, that is how I interpret this ruling. He can play in the preseason. It is an 11-game regular season suspension. Don't quote me, but that's how I am interpreting it. So yes. Now, they're not going to play Watson, I don't think. First off, Stefanski has we've learned over really just one preseason outing. He saves the starters for week 3. I think we're going to see the Josh Dobbs and the Josh Rosen show against Philly at First Energy this Sunday. And then week 3, it's going to be all Jacoby Brissett for the first half, and then probably Dobbs the second half. That's probably my prediction right there. But I doubt it really wouldn't make a ton of sense for Watson to play. Yes, you can knock some rust off and whatnot. He can develop more of a chemistry. But chemistry with who? Cooper's not out there. Chubb and Hunt aren't out there. Most of his O-line isn't out there. So are you really making that much progress? Yeah, he, doesn't have so many missed throws. But I really doubt when Watson returns in week 13 or week 12, week 13 against the Texans, that there's going to be a moment where he's like, oh, if I only got to play a couple more times in August, I wouldn't have overthrown that guy. Like, I don't buy that from just 8 to 10 snaps, which is really all he would get. So maybe if he played the whole game, yeah, he'd definitely get more into the thick of things here, but Stefanski's not going to risk that happening. Super Chat from my friend Michael. Michael is a Super Chat MVP here at the Browns Report. Thank you so much for supporting the show. You have no idea how much it means to me. We really appreciate it here on our side of things here. Marshall Green and I doing our best to get you guys the best daily Browns content. So when you guys drop a little bit of a tip in the jar, that definitely goes a long way here for us to get more studio space so I can meet, when I meet with my bosses, which I think is next Monday, so knock on wood that goes well, I can say, hey, Browns Report's killing it. Give us more studio time. Give us more studio space. The Dog Pound wants it, and they can deliver. All right, are we ready for a mailbag? So we're going to get into a mailbag here. Any questions related to anything that's transpired, or you can just ask about, I don't know, the inside linebacker job between Dakota Allen and Tony Fields. Like, we can definitely go into that too as well. But use hashtag Browns or Super Chat to get on screen as we are about to jump into a Cleveland Browns mailbag. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with a mailbag edition following the Deshaun Watson news. This was recorded during our live show right after the Watson news broke Thursday afternoon, Thursday morning now at this point. So we're going to be getting into all the questions you guys had following that news. And let's start things off with John Lowe, longtime subscriber here at the channel. Can Deshaun practice during the suspension? Great question, because I think everyone, this is one of those, if one person has this question, chances are most people have this question. Adam Schefter with a great tweet that answers your question, John. Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension will begin August 30th on the NFL's roster cutdown day. He may return to the team's training facility and participate in limited activities on October 10th. On November 14th, he can resume practicing, and Watson can play again December 4th against the Houston Texans. So remember two things here, a couple things. It's an 11-game suspension, which means it's 12 weeks because the bye week does not count here. And he can begin returning to Berea October 10th. So that probably means he can work out, he can meet with trainers, and he can maybe participate in some meetings. Not really sure the full extent of it, but he'll be a full go at practice starting November 14th, which gives him about 3 weeks to really start developing a chemistry with Chubb, Hunt, Cooper, and the rest of his offense before traveling down to Houston. Next question comes in from Owen. I still think we are a 9+ win team, 3-3 in the division, beat the Panthers, the Jets, the Falcons, the Texans, and the Commanders, and steal 1-2 versus the Patriots, Saints, Dolphins, etc. So the way I approach just schedule predictions is just splitting games a little bit. Meaning this team is, if they don't win this one, they'll probably win this one. I don't like to just pencil in week 12, that's a win, no doubt about it. You have no idea who's going to be playing in week 12. But just looking at the schedule as a whole, Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons, that's a 3-1 stretch with Jacoby Brissett, right? They can beat the Panthers, they can beat the Jets, they can beat the Falcons. Maybe you lose to the Steelers, or maybe you start off 3-0, you got a letdown game in ATL. The Chargers, the Ravens, the Patriots, the Ravens, the Bengals. That's kind of the next stretch of games. That 4 right there, 1-3, 2-2 stretch. Chargers will be tough, but it's the NFL. If you tell yourself Al Pacino any given Sunday enough, you can talk yourself into beating any single team any week. Patriots, I think they got worse this offseason. Hopefully it's not a 45-7 repeat. Ravens and Bengals, those are tough games, no doubt about it. You got the bye week coming on week 9. Week 10 is at Miami. The Dolphins, I don't know what to make of them this year. It all comes down to Tua, so it's really hard to predict what that game will look like so far in advance here. But that is the current slate of games right there. And then this is the slate with Deshaun Watson returning. At the Bills, home against the Bucs without Watson, those are tough games. But Texans, Bengals, Ravens, Saints, Washington, Steelers. At the end of the day, I don't want to start going game by game, going win, win, loss, loss, win, win, loss, whatever, because it's very difficult to do that without knowing who the starters are. But this team is talented enough, no doubt in my mind, to win 9+ games without Deshaun Watson. Like you said, without Deshaun Watson for 11 games, 7 wins, 7-4, I think, maybe 6-5. I think they're going to be above 500 when Watson returns. That's my prediction. But how many games do you think the Browns will win without Deshaun Watson? It's 11 games. I think they will be above 500 when he returns. 6-5, maybe 7-4. This roster is so good. If it was called the Dallas Browns, no one would be as nervous. But because it's Cleveland, people aren't really caring about the fact that they have Pro Bowl and all-pro talent virtually at every position. You have Amari Cooper, you have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. You have a top 5 offensive line with all-pro talent at Petonio and Teller and Conklin. Hopefully Jay Wills makes a nice bounce back this season. At the defensive side of things, Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney. JOK is going to make a huge step forward this year. Your secondary is stacked. Grant Delpit, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, Greedy Williams, AJ Green is CB5 for crying out loud. This team will be in contention when Watson returns. You heard it here first. Now, are you subscribed to the channel? If you are, type me down below in the comments section. And if you are not, let's change that by clicking on that subscribe button, getting locked in for some of the best, if not the best, according to my mom, Browns YouTube coverage out there. Matthew Hancock with the next question. Glad this is finally over. Me too, Matthew. And we can focus on week 1. I really hope we don't mess around getting Jimmy G, and we're disagreeing already. Brissett is more than fine this year, and I want to give the lad a shot. So I think even if the Browns were to get Garoppolo, there's a decent chance that Brissett will start week 1 against the Panthers just because of the time aspect of this. Now, if you want to compare stats from Jimmy Garoppolo in 2021 versus Brissett's last 17 starts, because I didn't want to just do his last 17 games because it's not really fair when he comes off the bench. Now, that's going to span over a decent chunk of time, but Garoppolo is a bit of a winner. I mean, he's got some of the highest winning percentage amongst all QBs, so I'm leaning towards Jimmy Garoppolo. For 11 games, I think it's worth the investment. I think it's worth the draft pick. Now, I'll let you guys decide by picking a QB, Jimmy Garoppolo or Jacoby Brissett. Type their jersey number down below. For 11 games, let's have fun. Let's get weird. Let's get number 10 to Cleveland. Michael, the next question. Who is QB3? Josh Dobbs. So now that we know how many games Deshaun Watson will be suspended for, you can expect Dobbs to definitely stick around. He was awesome against the Jags. Rosen was brought in for competition, and sometimes most teams like to have 4 QBs just to have an extra arm in camp to keep the drills and practice moving along. So Josh Dobbs. All right. Who, by the way, alma mater, Tennessee. Shout out to my rocket scientist, Josh Dobbs here. But yes, that is definitely your QB3. Josh Miller with the next question here on the show. I see a path to 7-4 with Jimmy G or Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, I think the Browns, I mean, we can look one more time. I don't like doing this. Look at the first 10 games without Deshaun Watson here, and let's just count winnable games. Winnable with Brissett or Garoppolo. Panthers, 1. Jets, Steelers, or Falcons. That's 3. There's 3 wins in the first 4 weeks right there. I got 3. Chargers, no. Patriots, yes. I got 4. Ravens, Bengals, maybe 1 right there. So like 4.5 to 5. Dolphins is the other half. So I think you've got 5 wins right there. You steal 1, you're at 6. So I definitely think in the first chunk of the season, first 9 weeks, 10 weeks, this team can be 5-4, somewhere in that range. Now, week 11 at the Bills and home against the Bucs, that will be difficult. But at that point, like, yes, as it stands right now, they are not. Jacoby Brissett is probably not going to knock off Josh Allen or Tom Brady. But Jacoby Brissett also knocked off Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead with the Colts a couple of years ago when KC was undefeated on Sunday Night Football. So crazier stuff has happened. All right, Zach Wolf, longtime subscriber here at the Browns Report, asking, why is he suspended for 11 games? That only hurts the team and not Deshaun. I thought it would be 6 games and $10 million fine. Thoughts? So Field Yates, I believe it was, tweeted out saying Deshaun Watson was willing/pushing to basically buy back games, right? Saying, hey, take games off the suspension, increase my fine. Ultimately, I don't really know how they ended on 11. It is bizarre because most suspensions for starters are even numbers. Does make you wonder if the NFL was like, we want 12, you want 10, let's do 11, and let's get the TV ratings up for that Texans game because Deshaun Watson returning to Houston, we want to see that happen. Let's just take our money and run with it. I do agree it's bizarre that they landed on the number 11. It's a settlement. You got to ask Watson's team and the NFL how they deliberated and landed on 11. It's definitely a bit quirky, though. Mark Stevenson has the next question on the show. Is the intense counseling intervention new? Just seems like there's a lot to it. No, if you recall, when Judge Robinson made her 6-game ruling, it was more than just 6 games. It was also every game check he would miss, which would tally up to $345,000. And for the rest of his NFL career, he can only get massages from team masseuses, which is, I can't believe I had to say that, but yes. And there was a level of counseling too. That was never really detailed how extreme counseling that would be. Now, this is a settlement. I don't know the exact details they worked out. I am guessing they did not take anything away from Robinson's ruling. They just added more to it. They added games, they added money, and they probably stuck with the counseling and the massage therapist rule because why would they go against that? Why would they take that away? Jim's got the next question on the show asking, the NFL is punishing the Browns for spending so much on Watson. It's really difficult to know what the back channeling is of the NFL, what their motives are and whatnot. I don't believe that the NFL is pissed that the Browns went out and gave Deshaun Watson $230 million. Deshaun Watson was going to end up somewhere. He was very close to getting traded to Miami middle of last season. Brian Flores didn't want to do it. So I don't think the NFL is pissed about that. The NFL, at the end of the day, they care really about only care about one thing, money. Then you go down the pyramid. Where does the money come from? Sponsors. They got to make their sponsors happy. How do they make them happy? By not having people be mad at the people that support the NFL because players like Deshaun Watson are playing who have sexual allegations against them. So they have to make people happy down the line, and they do that by issuing rulings like this. They're not pissed that he got $230 million. All right, question coming in from I'm from 63rd. Why would Garoppolo ever go there? That is a great question, and I cannot wait to answer it because Jimmy Garoppolo would pick Cleveland, in my opinion, over any other team, like, say, Seattle, or maybe even the Rams because Matthew Stafford's elbow is a bit shaky right now for this reason. Let's say he gets traded. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Then he's going to be a free agent after that. So if Garoppolo right now is thinking this, I need to go somewhere this year to maximize my skill set and to make me look the best I possibly can to set me up for a good payday in 2023. What is the best roster out there right now? It's not the Seahawks. It is the Browns. With Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and Amari Cooper, they could make me look like a multi-million-dollar quarterback. So I'm going to go to Cleveland, and I'm going to star there until Deshaun Watson returns, and I'm going to look like the prettiest girl in free agency next March because a team, say like the Steelers, who went out and signed Trubisky, they're going to need a quarterback, and I'm going to be waiting there, and I'm going to have a great resume thanks to the awesome roster the Cleveland Browns had. Now, I'll let you guys decide this. Should the Browns trade for Jimmy Garoppolo? A simple Y for yes or an N for no will suffice. I'm going Y for yes. Let me know what your votes is down below. Ronald371 is the next one on the show. Wait, August 30th, does that mean he can play into preseason Sunday? The way I interpreted Adam Schefter's tweet, yes, it's an 11-game suspension for Deshaun Watson. What's that? He's eligible for the preseason. Now, I doubt he's going to play in week 2 or week 3 of the preseason. Not even so much because of the suspension, but A, Stefanski doesn't play starters until week 3. So, not going to play with anyone in week 2. And we know Jacoby Brissett is going to play in week 3. So you better give those reps to the quarterback who's going to be playing week 1. Why waste him on Watson? The only argument you could really make for giving him any preseason time is to knock more rust off. How much rust is he going to knock off? I really doubt there's going to be a moment in November or in December when he returns and he goes, thank God I got to play with Michael Woods a little bit in preseason. Now I know how to make these throws. No, I don't think that's going to carry over very much. Now, if you guys hate the Pittsburgh Steelers like I do, type FPIT. We'll end on this right here. Always a good note to end on here at the Browns Report. A simple old roll call of spamming FPIT down in the comment section. if you cannot stand the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's give some shout-outs here on the show. You guys are against me on this Jimmy G thing. And Shay's just riding with the popular vote right here. She has no idea what this means. Let's see. Wyatt saying, I'm riding with Brissett all day. Like, if I asked you guys, and maybe if your answer is different, that's fine. But if I asked you in March, who would you rather have back up the Browns, Brissett or Garoppolo? You guys would all pick Garoppolo, right? So if your argument for Brissett is just because he's had more time with the team, I can understand that for a 6-week suspension. Now that's 11 games, I have faith that Jimmy Garoppolo, even if he doesn't play week 1 or week 2 against the Panthers and Jets, and it would make sense benching Brissett after maybe 2 wins like that, but I'm saying Jimmy Garoppolo can catch up to speed and get caught up on everything on the playbook and the offense over an 11-week span, and he will be fine. I'd rather have the better quarterback under center. I think it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not apologizing. I think it is. What's Ben's record against the Browns? Why did I even say that out loud? That was stupid of me. F Pitt. Also, F Baltimore. That also works too. That's never a bad option. It's a good little hey, you don't want French fries? You have tater tots. Not F Pitt, F Baltimore. Both play here at the channel. No, we're not getting him. Quincy disagrees. Oh, no, we have disagreement. The clear answer is Jimmy Garoppolo, but it depends on his price. You're not paying the guy $24 million. That contract would be restructured. I promise you. Go to bed knowing this. Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to make $24 million if he plays for the Cleveland Browns this year. It's just not going to happen. He's going to have that contract restructured in a trade. That's just like how Baker's contract was restructured, right? Baker took some money off, and the Browns ate some money. It's the same thing for Jimmy Garoppolo. Not going to make him – no team's going to take on $24 million. If he gets cut, not being signed for $24 million. Now, we've got a question that producer Marsh wants to ask here. 11 games. Is it too much or is it not enough? This is going to get the comment section very active. I've got no doubt about it. Let me know what you guys are thinking. And if you want to, kind of commandeer the show a little bit, super chat, get your thought and get your idea on screen, and we'll discuss it in more detail. I'll give some more. Diamond is putting some hot takes in here. We should draft a QB. Okay, well, not easy. Yeah. Next time the Browns have the first overall pick, I'm sure they will make the right selection at the quarterback position. They have a good history of drafting QBs. Come on. There's not a Joe Burrow in every draft class. That is a once in a, I wouldn't say a decade, but every handful of years. Look at this QB class. The Browns had the first overall pick this year. They wouldn't have picked a quarterback. None of them were first-round talent, in my opinion. Just teams talked themselves into Kenny Pickett enough. We saw Malik Willis fall that far. Ritter fell that far. No, you can't just get a Joe Burrow every year. Yes, that's awesome, but the Browns have constructed a phenomenal roster that's not going to plummet to the worst team in football to get the opportunity to maybe pick a Burrow if he's in that draft class. I spent too much time on this conversation already. Owen saying it's enough. Bruce says 11 games is fair. We got some T's for too much. Yeah, Wyatt agrees. Burrow doesn't pop up every day. Ultimately, the Browns, they made a decision to go out and get a quarterback who is better than Baker Mayfield, and they were able to secure him because of the allegations, right? And no other team probably wanted to give him $230 million guaranteed, and Cleveland and Andrew Berry is like, we are done with this never-ending carousel at quarterback of not finding our franchise guy. We can get one right now in Deshaun Watson. It'll come at a PR crisis, but we want to win football games. And at the end of the day, winning cures all. That's how sports work, right? Even if you're not a Browns fan, you're watching this right now, there's not a single NFL team out there that does not have some skeletons in their closet. Now, if you want to get in a skeleton contest to go which team's worse than the other, that's a separate conversation. I'm not going to hear from Steelers fans who have basically built Big Ben Roethlisberger statues, and he doesn't have a fantastic track record. Ray Lewis killed a guy. Ray Rice only got 2 games. So, no, I'm not going to hear it. And then the Bengals defense. Those are some model citizens, Vontaze Burfict. No, not going to stand up for this. This idea of, it's only the Browns that are criminals in this case here. No, every NFL team has gotten in bed with questionable people in their decision making. At the end of the day, winning cures all. That is what they are going for here. Andrew Berry knows that. He knows right now it's tough to swallow, but they are playing the long game. They are playing 10 years with Deshaun Watson. They are confident time will help, not solve, but help, and winning will definitely help a lot more here. Okay, Everett, the Bengals will have to pay Burrow soon. They're going to pay him. It just means that no one else will get paid. Like Jesse Bates, that's why he ain't getting paid probably, because they know they have to pay Burrow. He will probably become the highest paid quarterback when that time comes, and the Bengals are going to hate to do that here. Let's see. Robert Kraft, HNT. Yeah, Patriots fans. You guys have never once maybe messed with the rules a little bit, or Robert Kraft hasn't paid a visit to a massage parlor in Florida before the AFC Championship game. I'm just not gonna hear the hypocrisy. Okay, unless you love the NFL but denounce your team for anything they've done wrong, fine, you can dunk on me. But every other team has had some people who have done questionable things, and you still love your team because at the end of the day, it's football. The NFL's king. It's never going away. That's just the way it is here. That's my TED Talk. Okay. Fun fact, the Bengals have had the third most players arrested since 2000 till now. Thank you. You see, there's no team out there that is perfect. It's pure. That's never had anything go wrong in their locker room. Like Tom Downey, the Cowboys, that guy stabbed a guy in their locker room. That happened 20 years ago. People forget. So, no, this is not going to stand for acting like every other fan base acting like their team has never had a player who's done anything bad whatsoever. Come on, don't give me that nonsense here. All right, I think we're going to wrap it up here, Marsh. Yeah, I think so. Unless we get a super chat. When we get a super chat, we'll keep this party going here. I didn't want to drink for the super chat today. That would felt a little weird to start beers cheersing for a Deshaun Watson suspension. That's a bizarre thing to have a toast to. But we'll set the timer right now. We get a super chat in the next, we'll say 2 minutes. No matter what the value is, always appreciate the donations and the support you show us here. We'll keep the conversation going. We'll keep talking about the Brownies, look through the schedule and whatnot, and just break it down. Crazy Gamers in the chat, hello. Hi to you as well. Very excited. Definitely use that Command C and V function. Let's just look at the schedule one more time. We got a little more time, I think, to kind of go game by game, a little slower-ish, but not too slow. I think the first 4 weeks, that's a 3-1 stretch. Chargers, Patriots, Ravens, Bengals. Best case, I think that's 2. I think you get 1 against the Patriots, and you take 1 from the Chargers, the Ravens, or the Bengals. So now I'm at 5 wins and 3 losses. You beat the Dolphins, you're 5-4. Or you're 6-3, you lose, or you go 1-3 in that stretch, but you beat Miami, you're 5-4. At the end of the day, I'm guessing the Browns are 5-4. Going into the bye after 8 weeks, I'm going to put them at 5-3. I think wins against the Panthers, the Jets, some sort of combination of Panthers, Jets, Steelers, Falcons. That's 3 right there of those 4. Patriots makes 4, and then you get 1 more win. Whether you upset the Chargers at home, you beat the Ravens on the road, you knock off Cincinnati on Monday Night Football on Halloween. That's 5 wins right there. You beat the Dolphins, you got 6 wins. Or you lose and 5-3 turns into 5-4. Let's say they beat the Dolphins, you're 6-3. Moving on here in the schedule, you lose to say the Bills and the Bucks. 6-3, you're now 6-5. Deshaun Watson is inheriting a team with a winning record. That's a team that can still go to the playoffs. This is not a lost season. That's how well built this roster is. That Jacoby Brissett. Now, if it was an indefinite suspension for a year, you're looking at tougher games in the second go-around with the Bengals and the Ravens and the Steelers. Even the Saints are not going to be an easy out. Chris Olave's looked really good so far. Quick sidebar. But I think 6-4, 6-5 is probably what we're looking at for when Watson returns to this team. That's my prediction for roughly the record. You can move some wins and losses around, but just the way this record and schedule is built, I'm going to go with a 6-5 record when Deshaun Watson returns. All right, that is going to do it for us on today's show. Marsh, we'll go full screen. We'll kind of send everyone on their way. To kind of wrap up what's been a very busy Thursday morning and into afternoon. Once again, 11 games for Deshaun Watson, $5 million in fines, and we will see him Week 13 against the Houston Texans.